Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar. A few housekeeping items before we get started. You can submit questions at any time using the chat function on the ReadyTalk chat panel. We will answer your questions at the end of the presentation as time permits. Today's presentation is being recorded and we will post the recording to systemcenteruniverse.com under the Presentations tab within 48 hours. I will now turn it over to your presenter, Stephen Dwyer, to get started. Go ahead, Stephen.
Thanks very much, Dave. Well, welcome everyone. I'd first like to thank System Center Universe and Catapult for hosting today's webinar. And I'd like to thank all of you very much for attending. We've got a lot of information that I hope you're going to find very valuable. For those of you who know Savision, probably aware that a lot of our products work around visualizing SCOM data. So we've got a lot of experience and a lot of feedback from our customers about what they find useful and ways that they can make use of dashboarding. So I put together a few quotes that are really relevant to this presentation and relevant to dashboarding in general. And I just want to draw your attention to the last one by Jim Barksdale. Let's look at data. If all we have are opinions, let's go with mine. And I'm sure we've all been in that situation where it's not necessarily the most informed opinion that prevails. You know, sometimes it's the person who can shout the loudest. Sometimes it's the person with the fanciest title. What we want to accomplish when we start building out dashboards as we go through this webinar is we really want to satisfy the data half of that quote. We want to put the data forward in a way that's easy to understand, a way that's quick to comprehend, so that we don't have this problem of people having to offer their opinions for various problems. Content-wise, we're just going to do a little story to get some motivation for what we're going to be doing. I'm going to take you through a brief history of SCOM dashboarding, and then really get into the meat of the webinar, where we're going to look at 6 different use cases for dashboards, and we're going to look at examples from actual Savision customers of ways that they've made these use cases come forward. I know some of you have dashboards already and using dashboards and so on. Whether you are or aren't, I'm hoping that by the end of the presentation, you're just going to be able to think a little bit differently about what you might want to put on your dashboards. And at the very end, we're going to give you a glimpse of what we at Savision think is really the future of dashboarding in SCOM. So, start off, tell you a quick story. This is actually absolutely true. Many years ago, I was hired as a programmer at a company. And the reason they needed a programmer was the existing programmer, his name was Marty, decided to embark on a completely different career path. So I was hired at the company, started day number 1, had a great 4 days of my first week. A great team, great products to work on. I was happy coding away. Then came number 5. And the CEO walks up to my desk. He looks a little grumpy. He looks a little unhappy. And he says to me, I'm not getting any email. Now, being a much younger version of myself, I turned to him and said, that's unfortunate. A little grumpier at that. His face turned a little bit red. And he more or less bellowed, fix it, turned around, stomped off. Because it turns out that Marty just wasn't a programmer. Marty was also the IT guy for the entire company. And being Marty's replacement, everyone just assumed, though they neglected to say it in the interview, that I was the new IT guy. I didn't know anything about Exchange, which is what they were using. I didn't even know where the servers were located. So there I am. CEO's not getting any email. I have no clue what to do. Probably could have used some dashboards. So before we get into what we can do with dashboards today, let's look at a brief history of SCOM dashboarding. SCOM is a really, really rich product. It's got a lot of information into it, but it really doesn't surface it in a way that's useful. Most people, their interaction with SCOM is just dealing with alerts. And some of our bigger customers, they will deal with 10,000 alerts in a day. And each one has to be examined, tracked down, what's the underlying cause, what's the impact, and so on. Really unfortunate because SCOM does have a lot of data that could make your life a lot easier. It just, for most of its life, chose not to give it to you. And then came SCOM 2012 SP1. And the Microsoft team in charge of SCOM realized that maybe we can do a little better job surfacing some of this information to you. And so they gave you the ability to create dashboards. And as part of these dashboards, they gave you a limited number of widgets that you can use to show information in different ways. It wasn't the greatest experience, but it was better than what we had. And one of the things they said was, if you're not happy with the widgets that we gave you, it's simple to write your own widget. Well, what we're looking at right now is the table of contents for the instructions on how to write your own widget for a SCOM dashboard. If any of you have had the misfortune to write your own widget, the task is mostly involving muttering under your breath about the Microsoft architects and what they could have possibly been thinking when they designed this thing. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do, and as what we see in the market is there's not a lot of people out there offering custom widgets for the SP1 environment. So, take number 2, SCOM 2012 R2 update rollup number 2. Widgeting got a lot easier. Team at Microsoft went and built a whole slew of brand new widgets. Most important ones were the PowerShell Grid widget and the PowerShell Web Browser widget. These two, especially the web browser one, let you do almost anything. You've got the expressiveness and the power of PowerShell to grab the data and massage the data and analyze it. And then the visual ability of HTML and JavaScript and CSS to really make it pop on the page, to give you good visualizations that you could immediately take advantage of the information that's being portrayed. And actually in Houston in TechEd just last year, I had the pleasure to meet 2 of the Microsoft programmers who were behind this and really congratulate them on a job really well done. Because it was a lot of time and effort to do this and really made life a lot better for people trying to build their own dashboards. As part of that as well, there's also a TechEd gallery where people from the community can post their own widgets so you can take advantage of those as well. Now, the Exchange team, and remember my problem was initially Exchange. I didn't even know where anything was located. The Exchange team has now come up with an updated management pack that takes advantage of all these brand new widgets. And it's a little bit difficult to find. You actually have to download it. The last time I checked, it's not available in the catalog. And the only thing they changed was the build number in the version string. But if you're running Exchange 2013, I strongly advise you to download this new Exchange 2013 dashboard. It really shows off the power of what you can do with some of these new widgets and really is a good experience at being able to track down the problems. And then there's some community widgets as well. One of the first things that people did was try to embed maps into their widgets. So if we were at TechEd right now, I'd have to have a demo with Bing Maps. That's a contractual obligation. But since it's System Center Universe, we can have Google here. So credit to the blog below. This is a nice example of combining information out of SCOM. Here, actually, they're moving, an object's moving around. Might be on one of your delivery trucks or ships. We have clients who have SCOM agents on ships that go around the world, and you can actually see where it is on the actual map. Now, if you're not happy with the widgets just built into SCOM and building out your own dashboards, there are a number of third-party products on the market as well. So Cortex does some very nice dashboards that you can put together. Squared Up really came onto the market strong. They've got some really nice HTML5 dashboards, desktops, tablet, mobile, a unified experience, and very, very fast at displaying information too. Of course, Savision, we have to mention Live Maps Unity. It's been around for about 7 years. Very, very powerful product for doing business service modeling. And then the little one in the corner here, Dashboards by Savision. March 3rd, this is going to be our new product that's launching. We're going to have a free version of it. Just like Squared Up, it's an HTML5, desktop, mobile, tablet, all the same. Plus, it's going to have a really nice authoring experience. I have to apologize for a moment there for the commercial pitch. My salespeople are listening to this call, and they make me say things like this. So if you have any complaints or you want to pre-order, send an email to sales@savision.com. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of these as we go through. So let's get into the core of what we're here today, and that's solving problems with actual dashboards. So we're going to go through a number of different use cases, and the first one is familiarity. If you've ever tried to upgrade your parents to Windows 8, you'll probably understand that people get used to the tools that they use, and they don't like things that are different. People invest a lot of time and a lot of effort into learning things, and they're most productive with the things that they've learned. So if we can give them information in a form that they can understand, they're going to be much more productive. They're going to get things finished much, much faster. So there's a number of ways we can do this. Now, going back again to the Exchange example, Microsoft publishes a number of posters about Microsoft Exchange. So this particular poster here is about 2013 architecture. And if you're an Exchange guru and you have access to a big color printer, you probably printed this off and posted it up on the wall. And we just exploded the middle of the poster here so we can see the overall architecture. We've got the client access methods at the top. We go through various load balancers, client access servers, mailbox servers, and mailbox storage at the bottom. Post a very good explanation of Exchange. And back when I was replacing Marty for that week when the CEO lost his email, this would have been a nice thing to have. So if something your Exchange admins are familiar with, build a dashboard. Why don't we just make it look like the poster? So we've taken some creative liberties with it, but you can see it follows the same paradigm. At the top, we've got our client access or protocols. Goes through load balancer, into our client access and edge servers. Bottom, we have our mailbox servers, and then we've got our data stores for the mailboxes underneath. And at each step of it on this dashboard now, we've attached the health. So right at a glance, you can see at which level of your Exchange architecture are the problems actually happening. So the Exchange admin is already familiar with this architecture. He can look at this diagram, and honestly, the first time I looked at it, I thought this was a little overwhelming. But it grows on you. And the Exchange people in the audience should be able to recognize this right away and be able to figure out much, much faster where the problem is, rather than having to sort through all the alerts that come out of Operations Manager. Now, the second example we have here is actually one that Cameron Fuller brought to us. So he has a project right now where he's taking a client from their existing monitoring product and moving them over to SCOM. And they chose SCOM because it's a better solution for robustness, for depth of monitoring, richness, and so on. But they've grown very attached to their old monitoring system. And their old monitoring system had certain ways of displaying information that they got very used to. So Cameron came to us and he said, can you give us a dashboard that looks like the old one? Takes the SCOM data, all the monitors and rules and health state from SCOM, but makes it look like the information that was presented from their old monitoring system. So we built this for him. We actually used our new product that's coming up March 3rd. And we built these two dashboards that look like their old monitoring system. Again, going back to your parents and Windows 8, managing change is very hard. And you get a lot of resistance when you try to move people to new platforms. So if you can ease things for them, if you can take this new platform but make it look like the old one, you're going to have a much better experience of managing the change. Then later on, you can start to prove out how well the new platform works, and maybe we want to start to look at the native things that are built in instead of the clone of the old one. Or maybe we're perfectly happy with the clone too, and we're going to keep that as well. But the idea is to increase productivity, increase morale too, by giving people things that they're familiar with. Next area we want to talk about is transparency. So actually I was talking just last week to a woman who worked in an IT shop, and her desk, just by chance, was outside the CIO's office. And she said he is on the phone all day long asking about status. What's the status of this system? Is that thing back up or not? What problem caused these things to happen? And it's just all day long, one phone call after another to different areas of the organization. And I know as IT pros, we have to fix things, and we don't necessarily appreciate when someone's calling every 5 minutes asking, where are you with that thing you're trying to fix? So one of the things we can do to help ourselves is to create dashboards that create transparency. So they're not necessarily for us to help troubleshoot. They're for us to communicate to the rest of the organization, here's what's going on. So we can see an example of a very nice CIO dashboard. So it's very high level. We're not talking about the underlying IT components. We're not talking about the servers. We're not talking about the disk drive, storage, whatever. We're talking about the things that matter to the business, so order entry, SAP, HR, finance, so on. We've got a little network diagram showing the big links across the country to our different data centers. So the CIO at a glance can see what's wrong and know that there's an issue, so he doesn't have to call around. Know that you know there's an issue because you've got this dashboard as well. And then we can drill down as well. So we can see in the little bottom corner, we've got some information about the service level availability. So we can see that we have promised service level objective of 2 nines, 99%, which gives us maximum downtime in this month about 7.4 hours. Already in the month, we've had 31 minutes of downtime. So we've got about 7 hours to go before we breach this SLA. And this is a contract that we in IT have made with the CIO. So if he comes and says, why aren't you fixing this yet? You can say, well, I've still got 7 hours. At the same time, the CIO can also drill into this, and he can see that there are actually 2 open tickets against this system. So someone has noticed the problem, and someone is taking some action against it. And you can see that the estimated time before the problem is fixed is going to be 2.5 hours, again, within our SLA agreement. So the goal here is that he's, 1, not going to phone you to say what's going on. Number 2, not going to phone you to say, when is this going to be fixed? Right from this dashboard, he can see. He's going to have a less stress-free or less stressful day. You're going to have a less stressful day. And we can work together. He can concentrate on the things that are important to him, and you can concentrate on your area of expertise, which is getting the system back up and running. You can also create these transparency dashboards and send them out to business service owners. So if there's someone in charge of the e-commerce website, they can have their own dashboard now that's customized for them. Send it to finance to see if their systems are up and running, and so on. The idea is to give the people above you the information they need so that they know you're doing your job and they know that things are taken care of, and just to improve their sense of security. Third use case we're going to look at is prioritization. Probably one of the more important things to talk about. It can be difficult at times to know what is the most important thing to fix. So we really need a way to take the information and manipulate in a fashion that's really going to surface what should I be concentrating on first. So we have here, I call it the Christmas tree dashboard. It can be a little garish and overwhelming at first, but there's actually a wealth of a lot of important information on this dashboard. And we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about this one. So the first thing I'm going to mention is that we've got here a list of all the services that are running in our IT infrastructure. And we can either talk about them at a low level, like Operations Manager, or we can talk about them at a business level to see the actual business impact, things like fulfillment and the order entry in our public website, things that create revenue for the company. This dashboard is actually dynamic. So the order of things displayed in this dashboard are in the order of prioritization. So the very first thing you have to take care of is always the first thing that bubbles to the top of this dashboard. So if you want an easy workflow, take the thing at the top, fix it, move on to the next thing that bubbles up to the top. Next, we've got a number of columns. So the first column is actually what we call our end user perspective. So in IT, we have a lot of built-in redundancy. We'll have redundant network links. We'll have clusters. We'll have failover. So we can lose parts of our infrastructure and still continue moving forward. The end user is not going to be impacted. So it's very, very nice for one of these prioritization dashboards to have a column that specifically says end user impact. Because things that impact the end user, things that are going to cost you revenue in your company are the things you're going to want to fix first. And again, things in this dashboard that have end user impact bubble immediately to the top as well. Next two columns look at the application level. That's looking at your databases, your web servers, and so on. And then the third column looks at your infrastructure. So your physical servers, your routers, your network switches, that sort of information. And again, this is where you can have some redundancy, so you can afford to lose pieces of it. But you know you should still take care of it because now you've lost perhaps some of your redundancy. Fourth column is really, really interesting one as well, because we know in our IT environments there are a lot of links and dependencies between services. For example, we have Active Directory. Active Directory underpins Exchange. So poor little Stephen, taking over for Marty, he's got an Exchange problem, but maybe it's an Active Directory problem. Don't really know. What you can do now with this sort of dashboard is you can wire together those dependencies between all your services. So you can say Exchange depends on Active Directory, depends on DNS. We can say our public website depends on the Internet Gateway filtering those visitors in. Order entry, of course, same sort of thing. So when we start to model out all those dependencies between services, we can now add this extra fourth column where we can see for each service whether its dependencies are having issues. So for example, Exchange, we can see its dependencies are having issues. Not yet an impact on the end user, thankfully, but we know that there could be potential problems ahead. And again, in this dynamic dashboard, the things that bubble right to the top are the things that are failing that have the most dependencies on them. So the Internet Gateway is the basis for a lot of our services. We can actually see it doesn't have anything that it depends on. Everything depends on it. So when it's having trouble, it's going to come right to the top. So idea, just like the quote, we had the nail in the horseshoe that caused the kingdom to be lost. You don't necessarily know off the top of your head in massive organizations how everything's wired together, how everything works together. But if you start to build these dependency relationships and then get this sort of dynamic dashboard going, it takes care of remembering everything for you. And it will bubble the number one problem to fix right to the top for you. Makes you a lot more productive, and also resolves things for everyone in the organization much, much faster. Another nice use case is forewarning. It's very nice that we get alerts and we get notifications and monitors going off when things have failed. It would be nice to know if things are going wrong before they go wrong. So we're going to look at this dashboard here, and the first thing we're going to look at is this connector users metric. It's very, very nice on forewarning dashboards to have some sort of metric that's really a proxy for the end user experience, or a proxy to say whether the system's working as it's designed to or not. So this dashboard is for our order entry, our e-commerce system. And we can see we've had a precipitous drop in the number of connected users. Right here it went way down, and it stayed fairly low for a while now. Now ideally I would have looked at this dashboard before this exact moment, and I would have seen this trend line down begin to happen, and that's the moment when I need to act. Maybe no alarms have gone off in SCOM yet, maybe I don't have notifications coming out, but I can see connected users are going down. That's not only a proxy for the health of the order entry system, that's also a proxy for the revenue my company is losing. So if I have this dashboard up on the big screen in my Network Operations Center, I can see immediately when things are starting to go wrong. And then surrounding it, I've got a whole bunch of other information to help me hunt down the problem. I can see, and this perhaps was not the world's most efficient e-commerce system because I've got a lot of databases, but we can see we're starting to have problems with one database and another one's edging towards trouble as well. Over on the website side of things, we can see we've lost one website, another's in trouble. Start to look at the servers. One server's not even pinging. Then we've got a whole bunch of alerts coming out of the databases. CPU is spiking on everything. CPU spiking as we're starting to lose connected users is not something we'd expect. We'd expect the CPU to spike when the connected users went up. So clearly we've got some problem. And now we're going to start troubleshooting before it gets to an issue where the CIO and the CFO are concerned. Because we can watch this proxy line, the connected users, we've got the forewarning, we're going to jump on it before anyone notices the problem. So it's really, really helpful when you start to build out dashboards too, to think of what is a good proxy for the thing you're trying to measure. What's the proxy for the end user experience? What's a proxy for the corporation experience? Often revenue is a good one to pick. Another use case is inspiration. Nice quote here by Peter Drucker, what gets measured gets improved. And the things you can't measure, you're not going to improve. You can think even health-wise. There are things we can see visibly, weigh myself every day. Actually, that's another good example. We had someone in the office talking to us the other day. They're actually a consultant. And they said they were concerned about their health, and their New Year's resolution was to get more fit. So they went out and bought one of those Fitbits and wear it around. And that gives them actual measurable numbers so they can see what they're doing every day. They can see their activity level. Without it, you sort of say, well, today I'm going to do well, and tomorrow maybe, and so what. With one of these gadgets, you can now have a goal from one day to the next. You can continuously improve. You've got numbers to hit. So when we start doing dashboards, we can start to think about what dashboards do we want to build that are going to improve our IT. Perhaps we want to improve productivity. Can we get a measure of that? Time to resolution. Can we get a measure of that? We want to come up with some metrics that we can put on our dashboards, data we can extract from SCOM, that then can help us move in the right direction. Now, kind of a lofty quote, the example we're going to give is actually a little more whimsical. And one of the things I'll mention, these are all actual customer examples, but of course for privacy we've had to obscure and duplicate some of them a little bit. So little bonus points too, if you can identify everyone in this slide and the movie that we're referencing, send an email to sales@savision.com and they may or may not give you a discount on some of our products. So this was actually completely unintended consequence. One of our customers went and implemented a dashboard. They had a big IT infrastructure and they had very siloed teams responsible for various areas. So one team Windows Server, one team network, and so on. All the teams sat basically in the same network operations center, big screens. And just for their convenience, they implemented one dashboard that showed the health state of each area for each of the teams and the number of outstanding alerts and so on. And what happened was they went from having red on everything, which was their normal way of doing business, to everything suddenly turning green and the number of alerts suddenly going down. Without knowing it, they had actually gamified their IT operations center because they now put a scorecard up. You have these different teams. You can see which team has red and which team has green. You can see how many alerts each team has to deal with and how many they've handled. What inspired a friendly competition between the teams. When you do something like this, you don't want it to be punitive. You're just going to damage morale if you do that. But if you can create a game or just even see what happens between your teams when you put this sort of thing up. And we personalize it a little bit by actually putting the picture of the team leaders on as well. So you can say, hey Ron, you've been red for 4 hours now. Give him a little friendly ribbing and maybe encourage him to hunt things down. And a great way, too, to really promote dashboarding in your company is to do this. Because now your teams are looking at ways to be more productive, ways to better prioritize. And as we saw in the previous dashboards, you can start building those out now. And now your teams are trying to suck those in and consume that information to help them get their dashboard turned green faster than everyone else. Again, dashboarding can be a really tricky problem around change management. If people aren't necessarily used to it, people are stuck in their ways. So if we can give them tools that will make them want to take advantage of the dashboards, that's all the better for us. And then the final example we want to talk about, and we've got a number to go through here, is productivity. Really important, we're being asked to do more with less. It's a little trite, but it's still true. A lot of pressure to consolidate and just to get things fixed faster. Everything in the world's moving faster. We have to be able to get issues resolved so much faster. So how can we do that with dashboarding solutions? Well, one of the things that our clients find is that when they make the right sort of dashboards and present them, they can actually achieve huge productivity increases. One, in how fast people are able to track down and solve problems, but two, just in which people are actually solving the problems. So instead of everything being escalated to the senior engineers, they're able to have the help desk solve a lot of problems, or first-tier support solve a lot of problems, so that you can have your senior IT people concentrate on new projects, concentrate on overall corporate efficiency, rather than troubleshooting and firefighting all the time. So we can see here, actually what we have is systems for a banking application. And they've got the web servers out in front talking to JBoss. Goes all the way back talking to the old style mainframe. So there are a lot of links here. And it's not necessarily the easiest system to understand. But if you can put an actual dashboard that is a complete model of the system, then you can start to have people come in, see where the problem is, see which portion of the system is infected. Now we can start to route it to the people who are most responsible instead of playing email tag, I think it's yours, I think it's yours. We can have the help desk, when calls come in, say, I know what the problem is, I know who's handling it. And we can have the junior people, we can give them specific training on areas so that they can look at the dashboard and say, that's my area, I know how to fix that, it'll get taken care of right away. Rather than trying to find Bob in the back room, who's the guy who architected the whole thing, and ask him, which database is hooked to which server, we go through which load balancer, and how do we end up talking to the mainframe. You've got a nice object model right in front of the people who are trying to solve the problem. Now, some of our customers are quite the graphic artists. So these guys try to go for one of these 2D/3D views. And what they have are data centers in 2 different cities. And they've got quite the complicated arrangement in terms of security and network between the two. And again, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to understand. And they've got multiple firewalls. And if there's a connectivity problem, well, where is it happening? Which firewall is responsible? And of course, you can always get bickering between the teams in the different data centers as well. You never want to, have, especially Amsterdam to Ottawa, as a 6-hour time difference. So you don't want to have waking up sleepy people in Ottawa, and the Amsterdam people are saying, something's down with yours, we think. And the Ottawa people don't take very kindly to that. So this model here shows all the connectivity from sort of a geographic perspective, and it shows which firewalls and what the health state of the firewalls are. So if there is a problem, again, we're not guessing, it's not opinion-based, we're looking at where is the issue right away. The next one, and actually we have a number of clients in the airport, airline, air navigation industry, but a really, really good use case, and I'll say this one does take some discipline to implement, is putting the objects that you have, the physical switches, the routers, and so on a map where they actually are, especially for an airport like Heathrow, which is absolutely massive. So that if someone says, I've gotten a notification, a certain device is not working, you don't have to go to a spreadsheet which may or may not be outdated that says where this thing is. You don't have to send someone running through one terminal to another, checking all the devices, reading the ID number off of them. You've got it right in SCOM. Now, I will say again, this does take some discipline, but we have customers that really put a lot of time and effort into building really detailed floor plans and really detailed geographic models of where they've put all of their hardware. So we can see right on top of SCOM, we have an issue with something in Terminal 1. We can click right in, and we can see where we have to go within Terminal 1. It's near gates 2 to 4, 6 through 8. If you've been to Heathrow, you can know it's quite a walk between the gates. So knowing this is where we're headed, all the better. And then we can zoom right in one more level too, and we can see it's the Wi-Fi access in the British Airways lounge. Now, this also goes back to prioritization. The people in the British Airways lounge are used to a certain level of luxury, shall we say. Their Wi-Fi experience is diminished. They are not going to be happy, and they are going to complain. So really, we can see this is in the Airways lounge, not, general access with people who paid for the coach seats, which honestly is where I ride as well. But these people have to be taken care of right away. And we know exactly where it is. So we can send the technician out right away to swap the Wi-Fi or do whatever repair he has to make. We know exactly where the problem is. And again, this is more a sophisticated level of dashboarding just because of the discipline that's required to map out where your hardware is and then to update your maps when you move it around. You can actually go a level beyond that. You can get some gadgets that will locate things for you, and then you can start to push that information into SCOM automatically. So when someone rolls a cart down the hallway and moves one of your physical computers, you can get that updated automatically. But it's really, really handy information to have. So those are the use cases that would have been handy for poor Stephen to have when he's trying to troubleshoot this email problem. CIO comes, or CEO comes, not getting any email. One or more of these dashboards would have been very useful at trying to solve that problem. But we're going to take one more look at solving that problem as well, with a glimpse at what we think is the future trend in dashboarding. Now, I also want to give a little shout out to people at Squared Up as well. They really, really did a nice job of building out their HTML5 dashboards. Works on desktop, works on mobile, works on tablet, and it's very, very fast. Honestly, some of our customers, if they look just at performance information within SCOM itself, they've told us their environments are so big, it takes minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes sometimes, for the SCOM performance graphs to draw themselves. With your HTML5 dashboard, it's available in a second or less. So they did a really, really nice job of that, taking things to the next level, showing what people really, really want. So we at Savision were never sitting idle. We thought that was a great idea. So launching on March 3rd, we are going to come up with our own set of HTML5 dashboards. So this is completely web-based. Works on desktop, works on mobile, works on tablet, completely the same experience end to end. Two very, very nice things you're going to get that you're not going to get with the other guys. Number one, there's going to be a free version. So we're going to have free dashboards for a number of products, and we're also going to have free dashboards that you can customize for yourself for your own use cases. Second thing is our authoring experience. So I'm going to go back to the start of the presentation. Week number one, I have to solve the email problem. I have no clue where to start. Thankfully, we actually have SCOM on premises monitoring things, and we have Savision's new dashboarding product. So I am just going to go in and I'm going to build myself a dashboard and see where things are happening. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drag in one of these proxy metrics. And great proxy metric for email is how many messages are being received. And as soon as I bring that in, we can see it populates in real time with the data. And again, that precipitous drop. CEO's not getting his email. Who knows who else isn't getting theirs? And I've also been told that one of the things that can be problematic with email systems is available space for the mailbox databases. So I'm just going to pull in a little widget to display that. I'm going to see the top Exchange servers by available space. That's sort of my forewarning as well. I can see where things are going wrong. Then I'm going to pull in some details. Now, I don't really need this on the dashboard, but for the purpose of this demo, I'm just sort of showing off. So we're going to take one of the Exchange servers, and we're just going to pull some properties out of SCOM about it, and we're going to drop it on this dashboard. And then what is any dashboard without alerts? So what we're going to do is we're going to grab the alerts that are against our email system, and we're going to show the servers with the most alerts. And this dashboard is completely customizable. I can move all these widgets around. As you can see, I can resize them and so on. Now I'm going to get more into the prioritization and the business impact. So email, an important service, definitely for the CIO or CEO, but what other stuff is it underpinning? So it's part of our ordering system. It's part of our CRM system. So I've got those affected services right on my dashboard that can help me prioritize. And then I just publish this dashboard, which gives me the transparency. So now everyone in the organization can see this dashboard, can see the same information that I can. So we have our forewarning with our key metric that's a proxy. We have our prioritization with the services that are impacted, and we can talk about that at a business level now, so the same language as the rest of the organization. And we also have our transparency, where we've gone and shared this with everyone so that they can see, yes, there's an email problem as well. And now they know that Stephen's on the job. I have a much better idea. I'm going to pull up those other dashboards that we looked at as well. The first one I'm going to jump into is that Exchange architecture one to see exactly where the problem is. And now we go from the new guy who doesn't know anything about email to the new guy who knows a little bit and can try to fix the problem, and is going to be much, much more productive. So that, in a nutshell, is where we think the future of SCOM dashboarding is going, to be able to customize on the fly for any device to meet those different use cases. And I am more than happy if anyone has any questions to take them now.
Great. Thanks. That was a great presentation. We do have some questions here today. And so if anybody has questions, please enter them in the chat area, and we'll try to get to them before we run out of time here. The first question came in about, and this kind of came in earlier in the presentation, and it was asking how the object states are propagated into service design. Is it best of or worst off?
Right. You can actually choose which of the roll-up rules that you want to use. Currently, if you're talking about our LiveMaps Unity product, which has that nice service designer in it, we make you go into SCOM and change the rules there. A future version will actually have the roll-up rules that you can customize yourself. But you can use any of the roll-up rules that SCOM has, so best of, whatever, worst of, everything, and so on.
Great.
And I believe we actually have some blog posts on our website too that talk about how to customize those if you're interested.
That's a great resource, yeah. So if anybody wants to go to Savision.com and check out their blogs, that's definitely a good resource that can do a deep dive for some of this stuff. We did have two questions that I think are kind of related. One individual asked about kind of the underlying logic that drives the dashboards, and somebody else also mentioned that they have a challenge with getting people to truly understand what the relationships are and what they mean. So I kind of felt like that might be kind of two related ones that we might be able to dive into.
Sure. So there's a number of pieces of logic. So we'll jump back to a couple of the dashboards and just take a look at them. So we'll start with this one, which is our prioritization dashboard. We've got a little rules engine underneath. So these are all relationships in SCOM, and then we've got a rules engine to do the bubbling up. And it looks at all the factors and weights them appropriately. So end user is weighted higher than, say, infrastructure. If we have an end user problem, that needs to get bubbled up faster. Dependent services is definitely weighted much, much higher as well. So we've got a rules engine. We've tweaked it over time based on feedback as well. But the idea is it should just be easy to drop into your organization and get that prioritization happening. If we talk about dashboards, for example, this Exchange one, we actually build these out with native SCOM groups. So we do everything with SCOM groups. And underneath this dashboard, there's actually a whole bunch of groups. I think we have 26 different groups in total. Thankfully, this comes out of the box with Live Maps Unity, so you just install it. You don't have to worry about it. So we've created groups for the mailbox servers, created groups for the client access servers, and so on, and then just let SCOM roll up the health state of the groups to the dashboards. And then we can start nesting the dashboards as well, and it's just the group state calculations that keep getting rolled up. And again, you're able in SCOM to customize those roll-ups to say, how you want that to happen. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, I think that does for sure. Somebody else asked if they can extend this solution to monitor applications, like servers hosted in the cloud on maybe Azure or AWS.
Yes. So anything that SCOM can monitor, you can pull into really any of the dashboarding products. So SCOM native widgets, our product, the other competitor products. If there's a management pack for it and you can put an agent on it and pull the data in, you can definitely put it on a dashboard.
Cool. When are you going to be releasing the new version, the new dashboards by Savision?
The new version will be available on March 3rd. Cameron Fuller actually gets lucky. He's getting it February 16th because he asked very, very nicely and gave us a couple of use cases. But for everyone else, it's going to be March 3rd.
Well, that's the great thing about being Cameron, I guess. You get to see these early stuff. What's going to be the pricing model for that dashboard product?
Okay, so the pricing model, of course, there's going to be the free version, which is going to give you a number of out-of-the-box dashboards and customizable dashboard, one or a couple. Then our goal is to be priced less than everyone else. So it will be a subscription basis for custom dashboards. You can buy as many custom dashboards as you need. And our goal is to, well, with free, we're definitely cheaper than everyone else, but to be the least expensive dashboarding HTML solution out there. And then for the more sophisticated users, they can certainly upgrade to our Live Maps Unity product.
Great. So we did ask somebody if you could demo the heat map widget. Someone brought that question in.
Okay.
If we may want to take that one offline, I don't know, or would you like to do that?
Yeah, we can definitely do that offline. Our marketing department is hard at work throwing stuff together. I was trying to keep the webinar gremlins at bay, so I did everything static today.
Yeah, I think that we'll definitely get put you in contact with the individual that asked to see that, and we can take that one offline maybe. Somebody else asked what version of SCOM is required for the Savision dashboards.
We support 2012, so if you've got 2012, that's good. Right. We always prefer you to have the most recent because that makes it easier to troubleshoot stuff, but plain vanilla 2012 should be good.
Cool. Now, when you said that the new HTML5 dashboards are free, does that require an existing subscription or / account with Savision?
No, it does not. So
that's great.
If you're a Live Map Unity subscriber today or a customer today, you will get a lot of bonus stuff with the new product for free. But if you're not a Savision customer at all, the only thing we ask for is your email address. Give us your email address and you will get the free dashboarding product. That's
pretty awesome. So where do HTML5 dashboards get published to? Is it the IIS in the same web application as Live Maps?
You can put it anywhere you want. should be on a web server that has access or connectivity to the Ops Manager SDK, as well as the Operations Manager data warehouse. I'll say the reason these HTML5 dashboards are so fast at rendering the performance data, and even LiveMaps Unity now has performance data that's very fast at, is we kind of all go around the SDK now. We talk directly to the data warehouse. It is just too time consuming to try and get data through the SDK. So everyone who does these fast things just goes around the data warehouse. But you can put it on any web server that has access to the data warehouse and the SDK.
That's great. So someone else asked, can we launch the Health Explorer when we see critical states in the dashboard for Savision views?
Yes. So if you're talking LiveMaps Unity today, all of our dashboards are fully integrated, so you can just double-click on objects and the Health Explorer will pop right up. The thing about Unity is it runs within your native Ops Manager environment, and even our web console for it as well hooks into the Ops Manager web console. So any tasks, any views, and so on, you can launch right from the dashboard. With the new product, shortly after March 3rd, you'll be able to open the Health Explorer.
Great. We have had a couple questions about the recording of this, and it will be posted to systemcenteruniverse.com under the Presentations tab within about 48 hours. I did just chat out the link to System Center Universe to everybody that's on, so check your chat window for that link. Another question was about applications with a lot of servers, greater than 50. Do you have aggregate widgets?
Yes, we do. So, for example, actually this connected users is our little metric widget, which is actually going to aggregate across all of the servers, or you can do it, scope it by group as well. So we're aggregating the performance metrics. And then, of course, we can break it out into the top servers and so on, which is the widget right above. So we realize people have a lot of, even in clusters and so on, and they want to see the data aggregated rather than trying to add things mentally.
So around live maps, is there any need for live maps if you have implemented Savision dashboards?
Oh, wonderful question. Yes. So live maps, 7 years ago, really focused on visualization and dashboards and so on. But we've really evolved the product. And with our last release with TechEd in Houston, we've turned it into a business service management platform now. So it's not so much about the dashboards. It's got dashboards in it, but it's really about bringing business and IT together. Service modeling. One of the things it does a great job at is building the distributed applications for you. I have yet to meet someone who's happy building distributed applications by hand. So Unity, LiveMaps Unity does a great job of doing that for you. I was actually talking to one customer at a big bank, and they were doing a comparison of native SCOM versus LiveMaps Unity. So they built out the same distributed application in both products. Took them 4 days to do it. It was a massive application. Took them 4 days to do it in SCOM. Took them, and they were brand new neophyte users, never used Unity before, 4 hours to do it in Unity. So Unity is very, very good at building these large, complex models of your services and putting things into Service Manager, for example. And one of the things that's coming in the future, too, is extension to ServiceNow, because we know a lot of customers are using ServiceNow for their ticketing and issue management, and really integrating those systems together. So it's the more high-level, sophisticated product when you want to go into the business service modeling side of things, whereas the new dashboards product is more targeted at the IT people for their daily IT jobs.
Great, thanks. That's a pretty robust answer. We still got a lot of questions coming in, so if we don't get to everybody's before the end of it, we'll definitely be getting these over to Savision, and they can follow up afterwards. So I apologize if we don't get to all the questions now. We'll do what we can here. Another question is, are the HTML5 dashboards compatible with the Silverlight dashboards?
So System Center 2012 still ships with its own Silverlight thing. So in Live Maps Unity, we went with Silverlight 2. We'll see where that goes when the next version of System Center comes out, whether they have Silverlight or not. So our HTML5 dashboards in the dashboards product, no Silverlight, no plugins, no nothing required, so they run on everything. Will they show you your Live Maps information? Not today. So if you're running Live Maps and dashboards together, it's going to be two different panes of glass you're going to have to look at.
Okay.
But again, they do right now have two different purposes. One is for the IT people. One is more on the business side of things. But definitely there's an upgrade. There's a whole roadmap for how these products are going to converge and share and work together.
Cool. So I've gotten a question from a couple people about existing Savision customers. And will the new relationship perspective require an additional license for each service? Somebody else asked that Savision Live Match Dashboard standard license, is it an add-on feature or a separate feature? Things of that nature. For an existing customer, how does this relate to them?
Right. So if you're an existing customer of Live Maps Unity, you have a support and maintenance contract, you are going to get dashboards for free with, I can't talk for sales completely because they're still hammering out a little bit of things, but you're going to get a lot of the value that we would normally charge for. So a lot of out-of-box dashboards, a lot more customizable dashboards than the free version. So we're going to take care of you. We love our Live Unity customers, and we don't want them to feel shortchanged at all. So they're going to get more value from this than the people who are just getting it for free.
That's awesome. And that kind of leads us to another question, which is, I heard you say out of the box, and we did have people say, are there out of the box dashboards for like known metrics, KPIs, et cetera?
Yes. So out of the box, we've committed to Active Directory, and we're also going to, fingers crossed by March 3rd, and I know the team can do it, IIS and SQL Server and Exchange 2013 as well. Will all be in the dashboards product.
Great. So can you copy the URL for the dashboard and send it to someone without SCOM installed, and will it still present the same data?
Yes, as long as they, yeah. So the dashboard itself, the web browser itself, doesn't need to make a connection to SCOM. The dashboard connects to your web server, which is the URL that you handed out, and then your web server connects to SCOM and connects to the data warehouse. So you can give this URL out. Again, you can embed it in SharePoint anywhere you want. Put it on your corporate homepage if you want people to see what's going on too.
Great.
As long as they have access to your web server, it's infinitely shareable.
That's awesome. That makes it very useful for sure for the team. The performance widgets, we had some questions on that, about if you can slice and dice it based on time options.
That will come.
Okay.
One of the things about Savision is we're very, very customer-focused organization. A lot of the things in our products are there because customers have asked for them. A lot of them we understand what customers want, so we build the products that way. But also, people request things, we put them in. Sometimes with very short turnarounds. So we've done things as quick as a week between customer. I'm not making any guarantees, but definitely if there's a lot of demand for it, it will be in the product. Yep,
ease of development and urgency tend to drive things for sure.
Yes.
Well, I guess we'll try to close out with this for today. We did have a few questions that we did not get to, but I think we'll definitely get these over to you, Stephen. And if we did not get to your question, definitely feel free to reach out to Stephen or go to System Center Universe and check out the recording to maybe hear something that you might have missed. But with that, I would like to thank everybody for their time today, and I'd also like to thank our presenter, Stephen Dwyer, for a great presentation.
Well, thank you. I'd like again to thank all the listeners. Thank again System Center Universe and Catapult for hosting this. It's been a real pleasure, and I hope everyone's taken a little bit away from this at the very least.
Bye, everybody.